Namaskaram and Jai Hind, folks. Welcome to episode number 123. Yes, it's a very special episode, 123, the ninth caraṇam of éndarō mahānubhāvulu, of which I would summarize the theme to be cryptographic core in scriptural foundations for lifestyle choices, be it musical or otherwise. Let's listen into VasanthiMā first, and then I'll come back with my advaitik interpretations. But while she sings, I would like you to especially focus on 3 or 4 words which are very, very critical here. Most people will easily recognize that most of the words in her song today are essentially scriptures that most Hindus and even non-Hindus are very familiar with, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Adi Kavya, or the very first poetry of humankind, and that to a historical poetry of Valmiki Maharishi, namely the Ramayana, the Srimad Bhagavatam itself being one of the 18 Puranas, again attributed to Sri Vyāsa. You will also see the other itihasa, Mahabharata, coming in indirectly through its most important core. While the Ramayana of Valmiki is 24,000 stanzas, this is 4 or more times that 100,000 stanzas, Mahabharata, of which the core 700 stanzas are the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Say mentions that. Of course, the source of them all, the Shruti or the Vedas, the Shastras or all of the sciences, not only inner sciences. Many people think Vedas are about only inner science. Well, the Vedanta is primarily about the inner science, but the vast majority of the Vedas, the Brahmanas and other portions of the Vedas, be it the Aranyakas, for example, are all full of sciences of the outer world as well. Art, culture, and every aspect of life is covered in them as a comprehensive system of knowledge for times past, present, and future, absolutely with no bounds whatsoever. So that's Shruti or Nigama for you, as opposed to Agama. Then the Shastras, which emanated out of the Vedas, and then the allegorical, figurative, symbolic descriptions of that, once again attributed to Sri Vyāsa, Bhadrayana, Narayanam Padmabhavam Vashishtam Shaktim Chatatputra Parasharam Cha Vyāsam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Matasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Matasya Padma Padam Chahasta Malakam Chashishyam Tam Trotakam Vartikakaramanya Asmad Gurun Santatamanatosmi Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Yadvare Nikilani Limpa Parishat Siddhim Vidatte Nisham Srimad Srilasitam Jagat Gurupadam Natvatma Truptim Gataha Lokajnana Payoda Patanaduram Shri Shankaram Sharmadam Brahmananda Saraswatim Chat Shri Brahmam Dhyayami Jyotirmayam Avahanam Samarpayami Shri Veda Vyāsa Charana Kamalebhyo Namaham. We invite him with avahanam. We provide him a seating asanam. We provide water for washing his feet first, which is padhyam. Then water for washing his hands, which is argyam. Water for quenching his thirst after travel, which is achanyam. Then we give him snanam, abhishekam. Then vastram or clothing. Then we go on to give him the punul or yajnopavitam. Then we offer him the choicest of flowers, patram sameta pushpam, along with leaves. Then we offer another good smelling stuff, chandanam sameta gandham. Then we offer even more fragrant sambrani sameta dhupam. We go on to say deepam darshayami Shri Veda Vyāsa Akshakamale-bhyo namaha. Then we go on to offer Naivedyam Kadali Phalam along with the Naivedyam, that is the bananas or plantains. We offer the Tambulam with the Shri Phalam or the coconut, which I explained in the previous episode, is essentially our false identities breaking open to our true nature. Then the aaradhanai happens. This is such a beautiful expression of our love and affection to Sri Veda Vyāsa, who not only compiled all of the 4 Vedas into 4 verticals and 4 horizontals, but also for those of us in the beginning stages who cannot comprehend the complexity of the truth, which is actually very simple, but because of the way we have complicated our lives, it seems complex. And therefore, out of pure compassion, gave us the 18 Puranas, of course only 17 because his dad Parashara, you saw in that song that I sang also, Parashara comes just before Veda Vyāsa. He gave one of the Puranas, the Vishnu Purana, the other 17 were by Veda Vyāsa. And Shuka is associated with the Srimad Bhagavatam, another of the Puranas. So you could actually say that mainly 16 associated with Veda Vyāsa, one with his ancestor, namely his dad, other with his progeny, namely his child, which is Shuka Mahaprabhu. You will see that apart from these, there are the Agama Shastras, there are the Smritis, and there are so many others. And the pathways which Shankaracharya so beautifully gave us, the Shanmathamula, that is, one is the so-called Shaivism, but actually it is just a gateway through the Sahasrara. So-called Vaishnavism is just a gateway through the Anahata Chakra. And the so-called Shakta-ism, as they call it, even Hindu wasn't an ism until the British colonials gave us that name. Shakta is essentially our own gateway of the same individual who was a Shaiva at one point in time, who is a Vaishnava at another point in time, who is a Shakta at another point in time. And when it comes to the other chakras, Manipura, we say Saura, which is associated with the sun, Kaumara, Shanmukha at the Swadhisthana chakra, and of course Ganapatya, which is at the Mooladhara. So at different times, depending upon our own inclinations, our moods, we approach the same one unique truth of the ultimate oneness of everything, of all of existence in bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, in consciousness. That truth gets expressed through various gateways, and we become a so-called Shaiva, so-called Shakta, so-called Vaishnava, so-called Kaumara, so-called Ganapatya, so-called Saura. Funny, isn't it? Therefore, don't focus on all these books or so-called songs that anyway you are familiar with, the outer stories, the explicit literal meanings, at least parts of it. Instead, focus on these 3 words that even a great Bhakta, so-called Bhakta like Thyagaraja gives, because at the end of all of Bhakti, you reach Jnana. At the end of all Jnana, you reach Bhakti. Bhakti, if it was thought to be born as a female child, it's said that she is born in Tamil Nadu, grew up in Karnataka, got married in Maharashtra, and settled along with her children in Gujarat. So that is the pathway from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra to Gujarat, all of which are steeped in traditions of Bhakti, but at the same time of Jnana as well. Because whenever Bhakti peaks, it reaches Jnana. And Adi Shankaracharya, who also came in that lineage of that song that I just described, the Guru Parampara, is the epitome of that advaitik knowledge or wisdom rather. Therefore, focus on 3 words that Thyagaraja comes up with in this, because that is very, very critical. The fact that even Thyagaraja, the so-called Bhakta, is actually a jnani, because he not only lists out all these wonderful so-called scriptures and the 6 pathways, but also talks about not being lost in the literal aspect. So therefore, he uses, in fact, 3 words for that. Not only for the scriptures, you should not get into the literary aspect, but even the deities, all the 33 crore deities or 330 million deities that he talks about. He uses 3 words for that. One is Marmamulanu, that means the mysteries. Gudamulanu, that means discovering the secrets embedded in it. And Antarangamula, the deities are not what you see in the temple or a calendar art or what you imagine in your meditation. No, they have far, far more deeper, intricate, very, very close associations of who we are. Therefore, the antarangamu is so very important. And therefore, he says, ulla neringi. You go in as close as possible in proximity. He talks about chirayuvul kalgi and niravadi sukhatmulai, all of which I will come to as soon as you hear VasanthiMā singing. Thank you, VasanthiMā. The floor, the mic, and the audience is all yours now. For the 10th time, if you include the Pallavi and Anupallavi as the first. Therefore, this 9th Charanam is the 10th episode of Endaro Mahānubhāvulu, episode number 123, presenting to you all the ever so wonderful VasanthiMā Swami Devami.
Ri pa ni sa ri ga ri ri sa ni pa ma pa ni sa ri pa ni pa ri sa ri ga ri sa ni sa ri ma pa ni pa pa ma ri ni pa sa ni pa ri sa ni pa ga ri ri ga ri sa pa ri ga ri sa ni pa ni sa ri sa pa ri ga ri sa ni endaro mahānubhāvulu Bhagavata Ramayana Gītādi Shruti Shastra Purana Marma Mulano Shivadi Sanmata Mula Kuda Mulano Mupati Mukoti Surantaranga Mula Bhavam Pula Neringi Bhavaragalayadi Saukyamyuche Shirayul Kalgi Niravati Sukhatmulai Thyagaraja Ptulaina endaro mahānubhāvulu.
Wonderful. Bhagavata Ramayana Gītādi Shruti Shastra Puranapu Marmamulanu Shivadi Shanmatamula Kudamulanu Muppadi Mukkoti Surantarangamula Bhavambula Neringi Bhavaragalayadi Saukhyamuche Chirayuvul Kalgi Niravadi Sukhatmulai Thyagaraja endaro mahānubhāvulu. And now I present to you the advaitik insights into this 9th Charanam, the penultimate, but actually many say the ultimate because the 10th is not considered as a part of this 9, which are all with swaras and therefore not called as Charanams actually, and only the 10th is thought by many to be the Charanam. But anyway, that's for the last episode, which will come in a few months. Thanks to travel schedules of VasanthiMā as well as my association with the Georgia Tech Study Abroad program, we have been delaying these presentations, which used to be every week. It's become almost once in 2 months now. Anyway, let's see the advaitik insights into what VasanthiMā just sang for you right now. Innumerable, endaro, quantumly fulfilled, perceptively experiential seers, bhāvulu, having transcended all categorizations whatsoever, divisions of qualities, characteristics, and yet out of sheer compassion towards their trusting followers, displaying the commonly assumed attributes of divinity as expounded in arguably the most popular of the 18 allegorically fashionable renewals or Puranas, namely the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is what Thyagaraja affectionately refers to as Bhagavata. That's how he starts this particular Charanam. Our pleasantly duty-conscious selves, Rams, exemplifying and exemplary transit ayana. So many people think of Ramayana as a story or a book or a poem. Yes, it's all that, but much more importantly, it's our pleasantly duty-conscious selves exemplifying and exemplary transit. Transit through what? Transit through the lifetime of its temporarily occupied body, mind, intellect toolkit, BMI toolkit, cognizing life, not through these two eyes, but through the third eye, as a song, cognizing life itself as a song, as profound and yet as brief as the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Only 700 stanzas, you see, which again Thyagaraja refers to as the Gita, and many other such songs, because there are many other such Gitas like the Uddhav Gita, etc. So Adi, each of them emanating as various genres of contemporarily appealing discourses of the one and only timeless source of unexceptionally all of universal wisdom, unblemished by any BMI, any body, mind, intellect, that is appaurusheya nigama, accessed internally in the deepest of meditations, which is just being in absolute stability and comfort, not concentrating on anything. In fact, it's the very opposite of concentration. It's a very state of life, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, 366 days a year, year after year throughout one's lifetime. These appaurusheya nigamas, accessed internally in the deepest of meditations as the ultimate wisdom ever heard, Shruti, naturally encompassing every conceivable branch of inner and outer sciences or Shastra, illustrated through dialectically figurative mnemonics, representing the time immemorial as the currently trending breaking news stories. Look at the wonder here, presenting the time immemorial as the currently trending breaking news stories. That is Purana, that which in Hindi we think is old, but actually is the most fashionable, latest in town. Nonetheless, jam-packed with the most phenomenal of life's mysteries. It's not just a watered-down version, diluted version of the Vedas. No, it has the most phenomenal of life's mysteries, marmamulanu, irrespective of which favorite gateway, doorway one is fondly traversing at any given point in time, be it the gateway of the Sahasraras, nothingness, that is Shiva, to become a Shaivite in Shaivism. No. It is just you and me when we are operating out of the ultimate chakra of the body before getting to a body-free state. That is Shiva, Tattva, Shaivism or Shaivite, whatever foreigners would like to call us. But don't be fooled by all these isms and ites. It is reality, our own spiritual evolution through various gateways. Be it the gateway of the Sahasraras, nothingness, Shiva, or any of the 6 Shan, subjectively appealing, opinionated pathways or matam or margam, nevertheless leading towards and even encompassing Ula, Matamula, primordial secrets, Gudam of existence, deeply embedded, Ulanu, Gudamulanu, human seers having evolved from and transcended beyond as many as 33 crore, that is 330 million, Padimukoti, aggressively ambitious and passionate genetic characteristics of Rajas, Sura. Of course, karmically seeded right within ourselves at the very core, antara, of our first 3 major chakras, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Angam, karmically seeded right within ourselves at the very core, antara, of our first 3 major chakras, Angam, internally, Ula, Angamula, Antarangamula. When we say Muppadi Mukkoti Antarangamula, there's much more than what others think of us as pagans or idol worshippers, etc. No. This is the ultimate wisdom, my dear friends, the ultimate science, which get externally expressed as effervescently overflowing emotions and bhakti or bhavam emanating from our interiority, Bula, bhavam Bula, and dissolving in proximity, neringi, into the very ethos or bhava, melody or raga, and tempo or laya. That's not all. Thyagaraja says, Adi, etc. of holistic well-being, Saukyamu, manifesting, Che, Saukyamu Che, holistic well-being manifesting in a seemingly ephemeral yet substantially lasting Chira lifetime Ayu. Intrinsically, Vul, Chirayu Vul, intrinsically blending kalgi, chirayuvul kalgi. So seemingly ephemeral, yet substantially lasting lifetime, intrinsically blending into our indefinitely nirav and immeasurably adi, niravadi, joyful sukha, self, Mulai. Kalgi into what? Chirayuvul kalgi. Niravadi sukhamatmulai. That means in a seemingly ephemeral, yet substantially lasting lifetime, intrinsically blending into our indefinitely and immeasurably joyful self of our sacrificial royalty. Self is Atmulai of our sacrificial Thyaga, royalty, Raja. Of course, Thyagaraja is the original composer of this song, but his name is identical with a manifestation of Shiva. Because he was born out of the blessings of Shiva, his parents named him after Shiva. But Thyagaraja has implications for you and me. As BMI is doing sadhana, as these sadhaks, we have an understanding of the self of our sacrificial royalty and its affectionate benefactions. Thyagaraja Aptulaina, inspired by the illustrious predecessors and peers on the path, like the other sadhaks, Var. That's why we say Var endaro. For it is ourself alone which has appeared over the ages, cloaked in and as numerous endaro, fully satisfied beings, mahānubhāvulu, temporarily occupying such well-disciplined and maintained bodies, minds, and intellects of various scriptural preferences, philosophical inclinations, be it advaita, or vishishta advaita, scriptural preferences, being it the itihasas, puranas, vedas, within the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Upanishads, or any of the commentaries by the great seers who have continuously graced this punya bhumi, Bharat Mata. Scriptural preferences, philosophical inclinations, and spiritual process choices, be it karma yoga, just because your Mars and Saturn are very strong in your horoscope, especially with the 5th, 9th, and 12th houses, or bhakti yoga because your moon and or Shukra, Venus are strong and associated with your 5th, 9th, or 12th houses, or jnana yoga because Surya, Ketu, Jupiter, and Mercury, these 4 grahas are strong and associated with the 5th, 9th, and 12th, well disposed. Then you get into jnana yoga, and of course Raja yoga, the marmas of it, best known to Shukracharya, who is also of course associated with bhakti yoga, but also primordially the Raja yoga, along with Ketu and Rahu, of course. Scriptural preferences, philosophical inclinations, and spiritual process choices as methodically exemplified in this stanza, the 9th charanam. Yet all of them, even when put together, being infinitesimally minuscule relative to the magnanimously unifying factor of Vedic wisdom, from which they all emanate as mind-boggling varieties of branches of a uniquely singular trunk, the indisputable Vedamata, Rig Yajus-sama Atharvana Vedaya Namo Namah, Garudalvar Namo Namah, because it is the flapping of the wings of Garuda, which is Vedamata, symbolically speaking. See you in the 10th episode. Namaskar. Jai Hind.